Okay, so hello everyone and welcome along to our live webinar. And this time we are going to speak about property cash flow and tax return. And we will demo how you can use it, how you can do it using Lendlord. And then with our integration with Untied, how you can automatically file your tax return to the HMRC. Joining me today, Kevin, founder and CEO of Untied. Kevin, if you want to introduce yourself quickly.
Yeah, thanks so much, Abraham, for having me. Untied makes taxes easy, whether you are somebody who is a landlord or doing various other things. But also we've got the capability, if you're a non-resident landlord, we can be supporting you as well. The UK tax year is a very odd calendar. It runs from April to April, and the deadline for filing for the year to the 5th of April 2022 is in about 3 weeks' time, on the 31st of January. So that's the sort of stuff that we'll be talking about. There may also be some questions about making tax digital for income tax. I won't give you too many spoilers, but I'll be talking about that briefly as well.
Okay, great. Thanks, Kevin. So the way we will perform this webinar, I will start with the Lendlord part. I will show you how you can start setting up the cash flow and managing it on an ongoing basis. And then once you are at the point that you want to file your tax return to HMRC, then I will pass over to Kevin that will demo how you can do it with the integration of Lendlord with Untied. So let's start with Lendlord. So I want just like briefly to do an overview about the platform, like in 3 minutes. So Lendlord basically is providing landlords and property investors everything they need in order to run and grow their property business in a digital way. And we have basically 3 different functionality areas. One is invest. In the invest part of the platform, you can source property deals. So we have data from online auction houses all around the UK, which you can get the information about the lot. And you can also visit the auction house page and start bidding. We also integrated open market listings. So properties that are now up for sale, you can filter it out with applying some searches, and can be in different property types, number of bedrooms, etc. And so it's a great way to find properties to buy. And then the other part of the invest area of the platform is the deal analyzer. And here you can start with finding a property and then go to the analysis section, click adjust, and then you will start to receive some information about the property. And then it's a different entire webinar just to show how you can use the deal analyzer, but it's quite straightforward, and you can get the numbers for your first year and the long-term numbers as well. The other part is the manage, and we will focus on this part today in this webinar. So the My Portfolio page, this is the place to manage your existing portfolio, all the relevant data. And
can I stop you? For a second, we can't see your screen. You can see just the webinar post. So you're not sharing the screen. Okay.
You should have stopped me before. Okay, no problem.
I wrote it. Okay.
All right. No problem.
Could you start from the beginning? Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Okay. So let's start. I will do it quicker this time. So we spoke about 3 different functionality areas. So one is invest. In invest, you can find the auction houses lots. And the open market, if you click on it, you will see all the listings that we have in our platform, basically properties that are now up for sale. And this is the area to apply the filters. Then you can enter a specific property and go to the analysis part of the platform. And then you can go to a specific property. You will receive the property information instantly, and you can see the metrics for the first year and the long term. And this is basically the invest area of the platform. The second area is manage. And here, basically, you can manage your existing portfolio. My portfolio is the main page. You can put all the relevant details that basically you need to store on a given property, the mortgage data, property details, all the utility suppliers, the insurance details, gas certificates, and any date that you put here will create a due date, so you will get a reminder on time in any important key event. My Tenants is the place to manage your tenants and tenancies. Payment schedule, you can track your rent collection. The profit and loss, which we'll focus on this webinar, this is the place to manage the income and expenses. And you can also generate reports and file your tax return. So before we start this part of the platform, I just want to show the last part. This is the finance side of the platform. And here, based on the data that you manage on the platform, you can find, let's do a remortgage. I can just select one. And then you can find mortgage results based on the data that you enter. So our engine knows how to analyze a given portfolio, and based on that, we are connected also to sourcing platforms, so you can see all the live products from buy-to-let lenders. And if you have not met the criteria of the lender, you will see why. So what was basically the reason of each lender that basically you're not eligible to get a mortgage from, but those are the lenders that you are. And of course, you can also apply online using our digital mortgage broker. So this is the finance part. We also provide bridging finance, and you can track your online applications online on the platform. So this was a very brief overview about Lendlord, and then let's start now discussing how is the best way to manage your property cash flow and file your tax return. So if we have any questions for the start, let me know, Sarel. And if you have questions, just put it on the chat. And then Sarel can take my attention and I can answer if it's relevant to the topic. And if not, we'll have some time in the end for questions and answers. Okay, so the first thing is to add a property or to add a portfolio. So if you go to my portfolio and you click on the add button, then you have basically three options. One is add property, and then you have this pop-up with different sections. And this is a great way to get started. You can put as many details as you want. There are no mandatory fields, and then you can tweak the data afterwards. And the other option is to upload portfolio CSV. So if you maintain a portfolio right now with all of the property details, you can upload. You need to keep it first. You need to save it as a CSV file if it's Excel. Then click upload, and then you need to map the fields of the platform to the fields of your Excel spreadsheet. Just make sure that the column titles are in the first row. And then after you finish mapping, then you will review the data. And then if you click confirm, the platform will upload all of those properties to Lendlord. I will not do it right now. And then you can click just edit on each one and just add the information that they are missing. So this is like the way to add a property or to add back of properties together. A few more things on this page, my portfolio. You can apply filters. So let's say that you want to see just specific or subset of properties or specific property, you can use this filter. If you have more than one owner in this account I don't have, you can also filter different owners and different ownership. So if you have properties under private ownership or company ownership, you can also filter them out. I created this account, it's very minimal, so I don't have many ownerships in this account just for this webinar purpose. You can also apply different views. For instance, the equity view is very simple, just the address and how much equity you have. But let's say that you want to add more columns, just click on the column button. I will search for LTV, for instance, and I can add also this column. So I can see clearly how much equity I have on each property, and I can also order by any column from top to bottom or vice versa. So this is the My Portfolio page. So after you add your first property, the next thing is to add a tenant in case this property is tenanted. So I will go to my tenants. And for this webinar example, let's use, let's create a property from scratch. So I'll start with typing the address. Let's say it's currently tenanted, the purchase price, the current property value. Let's say it's now higher. I purchased it a year ago or 2 years ago. The rental income, the ownership, is it company or private? Let's keep it company. I can create more owners. So let's say that that Kate owns 50% and I own 50%. Then let's say it's unencumbered property. Who is the lender? I will ignore this for now. Let's say the original mortgage balance was 400 and it's interest only. So it's still 400, the outstanding balance. I pay interest only. The current rate, let's say, is 476. And the expiry date is 2025. Then you will see that I will get alert here once 3 months before the expiry date. You will see the alert here that you have a mortgage product that is about to expire. You will also receive it to your email. I will not put all of these details right now, but of course, I think it's great opportunity for you to store everything and then access the data, from anywhere. Click save. Okay, so the next step is to add tenant and tenancy. So let's add tenant. I will click add. It's the name, the property. So I will use the last one that we just added. The tenancy period. Let's start. Let's take it from 2022 to 2024. Rent payment, it's monthly. I think that's enough. When I click save, the platform will create for me the payment schedule. So this is based on the tenancy details that I just entered. You can review this payment schedule and decide if you're happy with that, but you can also tweak or change or delete or add payment rows. Then click submit if you're happy. And I created a tenant for this specific property. Let's say it's a multi-unit property. You can add more than one tenant to a given property. So this is like another option. Okay, so we created the property, then we created a tenant, and the platform created a payment schedule for this tenant. In the payment schedule screen, you will just see the current month, but of course you can take it back and see the entire payment schedule. Because it's an historical tenancy, I need basically to go back and update all these payments if I want to keep the history. So what is the best way to start tracking the transactions, the income and expense transactions? So for that, we have the transactions page. So the transactions page, this is the best place, the best practice. There are other places to do it, to manage your income and expense transactions on an ongoing basis. And you have several options. One, you can do it manually. I click it, add transaction, and then just track it. So let's say kitchen repair for this property, and I spent this on this date. Then you can also allocate it to a category, click save, and then allocate and copy will take it to your profit and loss statement. So you will see it on the profit and loss page and in the reports as well. So this is one option, add the transaction manually. The second option is to import. And here, basically, if you have a spreadsheet with the income and expenses, you can import all of them to the transactions page and then allocate the transactions from there to the property. And if it's a rent payment, also to a specific payment from the payment schedule. The best practice, but this is part of our premium plan, is to link your bank account. And I will show you now what is how basically it works. So we'll go to a different account for this demo. Okay, so with our premium plan that now is with the promotion of £99 per year, and it includes the link in a bank account that includes other extra features as well. You can link unlimited bank accounts. So if you have more than one bank accounts that you want to link.
Avraham, we can't see your screen again.
All right.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, you saw it?
Yeah, you're in QA.
Now it's okay?
Yep.
All right. So from the transactions page, click on link account. Then basically you can either link your bank account or link Xero for retrieving the reconciled transactions. If someone's tried to link Xero and has a problem, we are now in discussions with them to increase the number of connections. It should be solved hopefully by the end of this month. But I will now show you how you can link bank accounts. So click on link bank account. Then we use Plaid as our main provider. Plaid is authorized by the FCA, and Lendlord is also approved by the FCA to act as an agent of Plaid. Everything is secured. We and them don't keep your credentials. We just get a read access only to your bank account. You just need to search your bank, and then it will redirect you to put your credentials. This is a QA environment. It's not my real account. So it takes less than 1 minute to connect the bank. Click continue. And then back to Lendlord. Let's retrieve our initial transaction. So then you need to select the date. So it really depends how much history you want to track on Lendlord. I think if you want entire history, then do it in tranches. Don't now take the entire data from 2 years ago, 5 years ago. I would do it like month by month and allocate the historical. And then starting this point, you can use the automation of the platform that will track the transactions for you automatically. And I will show you how to do it. But perhaps you can also track just the last financial year, and then from now moving forward, track it on an ongoing basis. So I click retrieve transactions. Then 6 new transactions were retrieved. Click continue. And this pop-up for allocating transactions, you will see it every time you log into the platform. So the platform retrieves the transactions automatically every 24 hours from your bank account. So once you log in, you will see how many new transactions you have to allocate, and you will receive this wizard. Don't worry, if you close this wizard, you can allocate everything from the transactions page. So it's just something that it just make it more easy to allocate. That means that you have to use this wizard on it to allocate. You can ignore the transaction descriptions here. It's from apply demo account. Okay, so now you just need to go over the transaction. So this is one expense. I need to allocate it to a specific property. I can select the category. If you're not happy with the category names, the predefined categories, you can click edit, change the name, change the color. You can delete category and you can add new categories. So basically you can set up your categories as you want. Then after allocate it to a property and a category, I click allocate. Then the next one, I can decide if it's one-time payment or recurring transaction. If it's recurring transaction, the platform will remember next time that this transaction will arrive, similar transaction will arrive to your account based on the description and the amount. So it's a similarity algorithm, and based on that, it will allocate it automatically. And you will see on the transactions page status that this transaction was allocated automatically. Okay, so what's the problem here? Okay, to the next one. Okay, and if you don't want to allocate, you can click handle it later. Okay, now it's income. When you get an income, then you should also allocate it to a specific tenant payment. So let's allocate it to a property, and then I will receive all the payments. If you recall, when we show the payment schedule, so basically I receive all the rows from there, and I need to allocate this transaction to the relevant payment. So of course, if you do it on an ongoing basis, you should have only one payment here. But now, because we are setting up in history, then I will see more than one. So let's say that he paid December rent late, so I will allocate it to the payment that should be paid in December 5th. I will mark it as a rent as a category and then click allocate.
Aviram?
Yes.
There one question. Dan is asking, how does it work if you have two rental amounts that are the same and come from the same payment source and are monthly? Would you need to allocate manually each month?
If it's the same, from the same source, the same amount, yes, I think that, yeah, it's very hard for the engine to understand if there are two different properties that need to be allocated. So in this case, perhaps it's better to review it and track it manually. I just want to see, like, to show this income, rental income. So if I go now to my tenants again, or I can go directly to the payment schedule, and I will go to December. Then you can see that James A paid the rent 24 days overdue. So you can click and edit the payments from this screen, but the best practice is to do it from the transactions page, and then it will track the payment. So you can see that this payment paid already 500, and there's still like 500 overdue from January that he still needs to pay. And like the other place that you will see it is on the profit and loss page. You just need to select the property, go to 2022, and you can see the rent of 500 here. And the third place you will see it is from the reports, and then just select the property, and you will see the rent here. And in the reports, you also have the expenses breakdown and the income breakdown. That's very valuable in order to understand on what basically you spend your all the expenses and the income per category. To this account because I have more data here. So on the expenses breakdown, you can see the breakdown per category. And you can see all the transactions here. You can also upload receipts for each transaction. Okay, so before we Kevin, we are almost there. Sorry, perhaps it took more time than expected. So I just want to summarize. So I started with adding property on my portfolio. Then I added a tenant. I reviewed the payment schedule. I linked my bank account and start to track the historical transactions. And then I go to the reports page to review my P&L. So let's take the last financial year. I can see I have rental income, I have mortgage costs, and some other expenses. I believe your situation might be more complex, also in terms like the rental property business. You have many other expenses, perhaps one or two more resources for income. But just for this example, this is what I have in my P&L. Of course, I can click on the links to see the breakdown of all the transactions. Okay, so this is the statement for the last financial year. Now, in order to submit it to HMRC automatically, I will click on File Your Tax Return. Then first, I just need to tell the platform how I keep the mortgage interest. If I have a separate category just for mortgage interest, I will select it. But in this case, I see that I have only mortgages. So all the interests are in the mortgage costs category. So I just tick this checkbox and click proceed. Then I can review the statement, and here basically I can decide if I want to file it for Kate or for Aviram. I will go first with myself, and also I can select the properties that I want to report. In this case, this is already anyway empty. Entire portfolio, by the way, it's an entity that you can allocate general expenses like accounting or software or anything that related to your property business. If you run a limited company, it's less Kevin will explain, it's less relevant to Untied, but you can also allocate expenses to the company level. So after I decided which properties I want to report, I will click proceed. Then if it's your first time, you will need to one second, you will need to sign up to Untied, but you will be still on Lendlord. So you don't need to go out from Lendlord. Everything is basically integrated. But for your first time, you will need to sign up. Let me, Kevin, just let me know if you can continue from this point. I will let you.
Yeah, it's funny because I realized we didn't properly decide where the handoff was going to be. So I've got a few pages where I wasn't quite sure exactly where we were going to do that. So I'm just going to turn my video on so people can see me. And I will share my screen. And
Kevin, if you want, I can take it to like one more step. So like,
okay,
yes,
go. All yours.
Okay, so because I just received the magic link. So let me share the screen. 1 second. Can you see the screen? Okay. Okay, perfect. So I got the magic code, the magic link code, then this is the first page. So Lendlord transferred data to Untied. You just need to verify the details of the owner, number of properties that you're going to report, the total rental income, the expenses total, and the interest. Okay, and if you recall, this is exactly the numbers that I had in Lendlord. Then click import and continue, and then Untied basically will get this data, and then now I will Kevin now take over, and you can show basically how they can start filing their tax return using Untied.
Yeah, super. Thanks so much, indeed, everyone. Just a reminder, and I can see that Haf has asked a question as well. Untied is intended for the individual who has a property portfolio. So this is for individual tax returns, not for limited company tax returns. And one of the reasons is there's already some good software out there for limited companies, but there are a few things really which are sort of characteristics of individuals, and there's not really much software out there to support you. One of them is that quite often business and personal transactions or property transactions will be mixed through the same bank account as personal transactions, and you've got other income sources such as your salary, you might have other investments, and you may have a self-employment activity as well. So Untied helps you with all of these, in addition to bringing in your property portfolio from Lendlord. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share my screen, and I'm going to sort of take on the point really where Aviram has sort of brought you across. It may time out or error at some point because I realized that I logged into this account a while ago and it is at risk of timing out. So let's just see how we do. So what, can you see my screen now? Everyone happy? I can see a nod from Sahel and Aviram. So we brought in my portfolio. It's not quite as big as the one that Aviram was showing. And a few things just to sort of note here. I've got my national insurance number, and I've also got my UTR, my unique taxpayer reference. That is really critical. That is the key that you need in order to be submitting a tax return to HMRC. And that is a very important sort of reference that you have here. I've also indicated that I've got a salary from employment, as Aviram did on his demo a moment ago, and the details have come in. I'm now going to put my details of my salary. So this will come from a couple of documents. It will come from a document called a P60, which my employer will give me around about every April or May. But if I've changed jobs during the course of the year, then I'd have got a different document, a P45, which people in this country will be familiar with. And effectively, that is my equivalent of my certificate of the tax that I paid for that particular job. If you have more than one employment during the course of the year, then Untied can be supporting that as well. I'll just sort of walk you through a couple of things. If you've got additional income, you can be seeing the details here. And in particular, there may be people on the call who are non-resident landlords. There's a specific form that you need to be completing in order to be making sure the tax is correct on that. At any point, you can be tapping on the tax breakdown at the top. And this will sort of show you sort of effectively sort of where you are with different things. And that's sort of your summary, including the finance cost, which I would have brought in sort of the interest cost on this particular property. I've added my employment here. When it comes to filing, there are a couple of ways to file. And just go to this page, submit new tax return or amendment. And I've enabled something called Express Submit. There are two ways to file. One of them is by using a government gateway login that you may already have. But for most people, even those with a government gateway login, we recommend setting up something called Express Submit, because that lets you file from Untied without needing to add a second password here. So effectively, I've got Express Submit enabled. To do that, you need to send us two forms of ID, one with a photo, the other one with your address. We then enable it. We always encourage people to make sure they hit the deadline. And one of the reasons we do that is this box here. If you realize that you've missed something off a tax return, you can still file an amendment. So what we recommend is make sure that you hit the filing deadline. And if you do need to be filing an amendment, then you can do that just by ticking that box. And if anything is a provisional number, then you can be ticking this box here as well. So there's quite a lot of flexibility. Make sure you hit that tax return deadline. I'm going to say that I'm happy with that. There's not really much tax due here. And then I hit submit. What's going to happen here is real data is going to HMRC. It may have, it will do some other checks. For instance, if I've got documents that are inconsistent, but here we see that that tax return has been submitted to HMRC, and that's confirmation. Because this is a demo account, I've only done that as a test. In real life, I would then click on submit live return, and that would work in exactly the same way, and that would go to HMRC and would file a tax return. So that's sort of a very quick overview, really. There are other videos that show this in a little bit more detail, but I wanted to just sort of walk you through what you need to do in order to do a tax return. Untied also brings in the same way that Lendlord brings in transactions from open banking. We can see these two transactions that have been imported from Lendlord. Untied does the same, which you might use, for instance, if you've got self-employment activity, and then you'll be building up effectively your self-employment page of your tax return in that way. You can pay HMRC from within Untied as well. HMRC tell you how much you need to pay after you submit your tax return. But let's say there's an amount that needs to be paid. You then select your bank, and it then will make that via an open banking payment from your mobile banking app, and make sure that it goes to the right bank account at HMRC and with the right reference. And that's particularly important because HMRC receive £1 billion of payments every month that they can't allocate. So you don't really want to be amongst that group either. I'm going to pause there. Avaram, did that cover the essentials? I'm sure there are going to be some questions, and I also want to spend perhaps 60 seconds talking about Making Tax Digital.
Yes, I think so. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think definitely it shows how you can take the data from Lendlord and then take it to the next step and file it automatically. And as Kevin said, you can use the untied area. So if you have a self-employment business and you have other income sources, correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, they can add this income from their untied,
yes,
from the untied account in Lendlord, and then file everything together, your rental income and the other income that you have from a different business.
Yeah, so most things can come from different things. I mean, really, the property income, I think, from Lendlord is second to none, and I think that is really one of the powerful things as well. In particular, the fact that Lendlord manages jointly held property. I think that is really sort of an excellent feature. And perhaps when it comes to Making Tax Digital, I'll just sort of talk about that. You might have heard about, oh, sorry.
Before Making Tax Digital, like we have like two questions.
Yeah.
One is for me, if Untied included in the Lendlord subscription. So yeah, so it's like in part of the premium plan. So so if you subscribe to the premium plan, one of the features is using Untied and automatically file your tax return. And the second question is for you, Kevin. I know the answer, but perhaps it's better that you will answer. That if the filing return option is for personal buy-to-lets and does not apply to LTD. So I know that you mentioned in the beginning, but if you can.
Yes, that is correct. It is just for personal buy-to-let landlords at this particular moment in time. I know I said last year we might be looking at that at some point in the future, but I think that we're very much sort of focused on Untied being there for individuals.
Yeah.
I can see that we've got another question. Can you file company property tax returns via Untied? Again, not at the moment. But if enough people keep asking me, then I think the answer will have to become yes.
Yeah.
So keep asking those questions.
Okay.
I can see Michelle asking as well. Okay.
So yeah, okay. Now let's talk making tax digital. I think that it was one of the main topics, and now there are some news. So, Kevin, over to you.
Yeah. There are more people asking for the limited companies. So making tax digital is a major government program to change two things. First of all, the way that the government keeps our tax records, and second, the way that we report our income. This is a program which, like many public sector programs, has taken much longer than was originally intended. It was first announced in 2015. The news at the moment, based on an announcement by a minister just before Christmas, is that making tax digital will not be coming in until 2026 at the earliest. And that's going to be for people with property or business income above £50,000. And then from 2027, for people with income above £30,000. And then everyone else is really open to discussion, open to question. What that means is this has been pushed down a long way. My suggestion is that we don't worry about it for the time being, for one of the main reasons being that there will be a general election between now and the current mandation in 2026, and I wouldn't be surprised if things change further. What you can do effectively, the combination of Lendlord and Untied gives you all the benefits of making tax digital in terms of the digital streamlined records, but without the burden of the quarterly reporting. From my perspective, we've been heavily involved in the property work stream around this. There were lots of issues that were affecting property landlords, including things like jointly held property, reporting through multiple pieces of software. And actually, I think that this decision is a good thing because it makes your life a lot easier in terms of this. I see more questions now coming about the limited companies because of Section 24. But in terms of making tax digital, that is further down the line. I think there are probably a couple of people on this call who have offered to be pilot users in the Making Tax Digital program. From Untied's point of view, we do have people in the pilot. We're not currently recommending people join the pilot because there are some ongoing issues, and we want to make sure that people have a good experience. And our feeling is that it's not good enough at the moment for us to be bringing more people in. We'd rather that those who are already there have that fixed for them. So I hope that is at least some good news around not having to worry about making tax digital. But I can see that the limited company thing is probably going to be something that we're going to have to be thinking about. So while I'm not working on making tax digital for the next 12 months, I'll be thinking about that.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's a great idea, Kevin. Just to emphasize, so you can definitely manage your LTD property, limited company properties, the ownership with limited company on Lendlord, all the data that you need. You can manage the cash flow there. The only thing that you cannot do right now is to file the tax return of the company automatically, but I think that Kevin now will be more encouraged to develop this feature as well. We have question from, so yeah, I think that we run out of time, but if you want to stay for questions, I think if Kevin, it's okay, we can stay for a few more minutes. So we have a question from Pauline. So yeah, I had a property which I had to pay. Pauline, I don't see the number. It looks like, but I think like tens of thousands of pounds in order for it not to be repossessed but sold, as it was in negative equity. How do I show the money is paid for my personal finances to make up the shortfall for the sale? Can you answer this, Kevin? I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I think this is probably, so at the moment, Untied doesn't manage the reporting for the sale of properties, the capital gains tax reporting for the sale of properties. I think that this probably would fit into that category. I guess one of the things that would be quite useful for me is within this audience, I'd love to know, would you welcome help with that reporting? I know that for accountants, they find it actually quite difficult because people will come with one particular transaction, but if you think that would be a useful tool for us to be adding, then that's something we will be looking at. So that would, Pauline, that would be fitting within that capital gain calculation. Untied in terms of a sort of an annual basis is there for the trading income. The capital gain, by the way, and capital loss do appear on the tax return, but you need to report it first, and we can support it once you've made that initial filing. There is a section that we have for capital gains and losses. But I think, Pauline, you're probably looking at a different filing there. I'd be happy to pick that up afterwards. All
right, another question from Dan, but can you, one second, yeah, collect the data to pass to an accountant to submit for a LTD company, right? Yes, so definitely you can manage all the data, all the cash flow, the historical cash flow for the financial year, and then either invite your accountant to Lendlord, or you can download all the data to Excel and send it over. So yes, definitely. Let's see if we have any other question. Sally asked, have I understood correctly that the need to submit the quarterly tax returns digitally has been postponed? I thought it was starting this April. So the answer is yes, it has been postponed to 2026, like the Making Tax Digital, like quarterly basis, filing your tax return. Yeah, okay. Does your platform enable the recording of directors' loans? So Lendlord, I believe Untied, yes, but Lendlord right now, you can track it as transactions. We only support capital expenses on the property, which we called I'm not a purchase. Sorry, remember how we call it in the platform, but basically any expense associated with the purchase of the property, or any expense that's associated with appreciating the value of the property. When we support the ongoing income and expenses, but we do have in our roadmap to also take a look on director loans. Currently, it's not supported. Capital allowance is the same. Another question from, let's see if I missed something from half. Given that LTDs can only use the bank account link and not untied, can we get a better price just for the bank account link piece? I think the price now with our promotion for £99 per year for the premium plan, yes, the platform is free to use, like most of the features are free. But linking bank accounts, it's also something that we pay for. But it's not just that. If you link your, if you subscribe to our premium plan, you will get the following features. So basically, on the invest part, you can perform postcode searches, unlimited, and it's very valuable tool for investors that looking constantly on properties. So you can get all of this information, our integration with property data. So this included. This is one thing. The second thing, on top of the bank account linkage, is you will receive unlimited tenant referencing checks, and it's basically available from the My Tenants page for 5 properties for 1 month. So you can, for 1 month, you have unlimited references for prospect tenants. So this is another part of the premium plan. You can manage you can upload documents using the premium plan. You can do rental and value estimations, unlimited. So we have set of features that it's not just linking bank account and untied that you can enjoy once you subscribe. And now with the promotion price of £99 per year. But this is not the way Lendlord monetize the platform. We also provide tailored finance based on your profile, and then you can apply, as I showed in the beginning, online to get an online mortgage application. Let's see if we have any other question.
Stephen has a question, Aviram. You can look.
Yes. I see also David. For what platform are you to get your properties for sale? So in order to get the sourcing data, we use property XYZ. It's a great platform. We also in each property, you can get the link to review the property in XYZ and get more data. Okay, this specific link didn't work, but it should work on most of the properties. Let's see this. No, okay, perhaps there is a problem right now, but the API is provided by property XYZ, and it takes into account, I think it takes data also from Rightmove. Okay, Stephen, please can we have the Lendlord platform and iChat available to view by financially? Okay, so I know what you asked. So basically, Stephen, if I understand you correctly, you want to see the profit and loss page on the financial year, not the calendar year. Yes. If this is the question, it's in the roadmap, but it's with lower priority, but perhaps we should prioritize it because this is just the visual way to see. The best way to review your data, the P&L data, is from the reports. And then if you use the general P&L, of course, you can see the financial year, but you can also customize the dates and see exactly the period that you want.
Are you doing extensive use of the both the reports module and also the profit and loss graph? But it would be so useful having that profit and loss chart by financial year. So I appreciate that being put up the priority list. Thank you.
All right, Sarel, please write it down and we will prioritize. It's definitely on our roadmap, but you know how it goes with roadmaps. So many things, and as Kevin said, if you write it a lot, then we will do it. But yes, we will try to prioritize. We do understand need. Thanks, Stephen. So many questions, so I lost track.
Sally has a question.
I've just sold this. I've just sold a property from my portfolio and spent some money on a refurb before selling it. Do I categorize those costs as purchase costs so they don't get categorized as expense against the property when I was renting it out, e.g.? So the costs go on my capital gain report rather than on my main tax return? Definitely yes. So if you go to the profit and loss page where you can see the screen, yes, Sarel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's select one property, 54 Eaton. It's just it's a random address that I put. So if someone owns this property, you still own it, don't worry. Then go to the purchase cost, click edit. So Sally, yes, just costs or expenses that you want to associate with the purchase or with property appreciation, I would put here, and this will impact all your cash investment. So let's say that you did a refurbishment to this property, let's say like 12K. Then you see that the cash investment went up to 119. And this will impact your basically cash on cash. So the cash on cash basically takes the net cash flow over the entire cash investments, and it will not be as part of your ongoing expenses. So this is the purchase cost. Do we have other questions?
Aviram, can I just respond to Sally in terms of her question from a tax point of view rather than the accounting? Sally, there's sort of debate around the way that works. The best thing to do is, if you do have questions about the tax treatment, you can contact either an accountant or contact us, and we can sort of direct it in the right direction. And obviously, it depends on the amount of refurbishment and various other things around that. So I just wanted to make sure that from a tax point of view, there's probably a conversation to have there.
Thanks, Kevin. Sorry, any other question?
Yes, David is asking for a really brief history of Lendlord, if you can.
Okay, I'll try to do it in 1 minute. So Lendlord founded in November 2019. We started with very simple engine that analyze portfolio and match it to buy-to-let lenders. So we started with the finance side. So we said, okay, it's very hard to understand your finance options, how to get a mortgage. You need a mortgage broker. So, and many lenders, stress test the portfolio, stress test the property, take into account many items, and this is basically their criteria. So let's do something that you can upload your data, and then in one click, you can see which lenders are available for you and what are the best products and which lenders are not available for you. And also, so you can understand the reason why they are not available for you. One of the co-founders of Lendlord, my co-founder, is a UK mortgage broker. So with his knowledge, basically, we developed this. What happened next? So basically, we needed to develop the My Portfolio page in order to get the portfolio data for the engine to analyze it. And then it started to become a data management platform because our users started to ask more and more features to manage their tenants and payment schedule and get some relevant insights. So it becomes basically much more than just a finance platform. And I think we started with the finance side, then we enhanced the platform to be data management platform. And then after that, we get feedback from users that want to invest more and grow the property business. And because of that, we started with the deal analyzer. We've added like this tool to help you analyze potential deals. And then we've added the sourcing side of the platform, so you can also find the properties on Lendlord and without the need to go from the website. So this is like the story, very briefly, let's say. Any other question?
Yes, last question. Does property XYZ focus mainly down south, as it only shows a couple of properties for my local area, but Rightmove and Zoopla show hundreds?
We can check that with them, but yeah, it's more limited than Rightmove and Zoopla, but I think we have around 70 or 80,000 properties any given time on the platform. From if I take even the max price and the mean price as well. So yeah, so together with the auction data, you will see like around 70 to 80,000 properties. Okay, I think that we are running out of time, so we will do more webinars. We will publish the list of webinars. We are going to do a dedicated webinar on the deal analyzer in 2 weeks. What is the exact date, sir?
I think the 26th. Yep, the 26th of this month.
26th.
Yeah,
we have a special guest as well, like property developer Ahmed Khan. And we will focus on the deal analyzer, also the flip analyzer, and a bit on the sourcing side of the platform. So thanks everyone. Thanks Kevin for joining us. It was a pleasure as always. Thanks Sarel, and thanks everyone. And if you want to say if there is a problem, of course, you can use and if any other suggestion, use the chat box on the right bottom and write to us and be in touch. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.